This podcast is largely based on facts gathered to inform those who are brave enough to listen. Any views or opinions represented in this podcast are personal, and I solely stand by every word. Any views or opinions are not intended to malign any religion, ethnic group, club, organization, company, or individual. However, if you proceed to stream this content and get butthurt, stand up, present your facts, and be prepared to debate. All considerations are relevant, and I welcome formidable dialogue. In other words, use your big boy or big girl words and let's dance. What's going on, everybody? I am Brian Matthews, your host, and this is Confessions of an Ugly Black Man, the Unchained edition. Now, I've tried to not go there. I've tried not to touch this issue, but it seems like whenever I address certain conversations like this, I get flagged back. But I'm a hood journalist, which means I will make you aware by any means necessary and stand ready to defend my position. So I have to ask, is the flack a direct reflection of your personal feelings or a deflection of the truth in the means to cover, hide, or discredit the material presented as biased or prejudicial? Or are we still running in circles saying the Holocaust didn't happen and Adolf Hitler was just misunderstood? And let me ask you this, and this is the most important question that you need to get at this very moment. Do Black lives really matter? Well, I have an answer for you, but after we take this sponsored break. There is or was a movement called Black Lives Matter. In 2013, the movement began with the use of the hashtag Black Lives Matter on social media after the acquittal of George Zimmerman in the shooting death of African-American teen Trayvon Martin in February 2012. The movement became nationally recognized for the street demonstrations following the deaths in 2014 of two other African-American males, Michael Brown, resulting in protests and unrest in Ferguson, and Eric I Can't Breathe Garner in New York City. This is old news. We know that. That's no secret. But let me kick you some ballistics, aka facts. PBS News, or a PBS News article written by Laura Santhanam, according to proceedings of the National Academies of Science, over the course of a lifetime, black men are faced on a 1 in 1,000 risk of being killed during an encounter with the police, which is a rate higher than most men. Black men and boys face the highest risk of being killed by the police at a rate of 96 out of 100,000 deaths. By comparison, and this is to white men, not picking on white folks, but this is the only one they had actually, in relationship to white men and boys, face a lower rate of 39 per 100,000 deaths, despite being the bigger proportion of the United States population. Someone argued that black on black crime is more prevalent in today's society, and we should be more concerned about the black on black crime. That was an argument that happened a few years ago, but I would challenge you to find that statistic now. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. I live in San Antonio, where the Hispanics make up an average of 62% of the population in the second largest city in Texas. You do the math. However, blacks only make up 7.12%. Yet when you hear about crime that involves blacks, you automatically say, East Side, because predominantly that's where a lot of the blacks are. And when I say that, that's where I would say, I'm trying to be politically correct about it, that's where a lower income that's where the poor folks at. I'm sorry. That's where the poor folks at. With that being said, at least in San Antonio, killings by SAPD on any culture doesn't happen unjustifiably. Although I can't speak for other parts of Texas, where there are still places that they say, hey boy, don't be caught here after dark. Right? I ain't trying to be on nobody's milk carton. Not at all. Look, I don't want to paint a picture of quote unquote black knight or revolutionary leader. I'm no Malcolm X and I'm not down with the Black Panther Party. At least not yet. Just kidding. Or am I? However, let there be no misconceptions about this podcast. I'm not saying, just because I'm a categorized endangered species, aka Black as Manus, nor am I pointing fingers at people other than black folks placing blame. I'll be the first to tell you, I have a fear of my own people in certain situations and neighborhoods. And that's facts based on perpetuation of negative stereotypes from music and movies, and of course based on my own experience. For example, I was out on the job with one of my coworkers. We were in a pretty rough neighborhood, rolled up on the door, and I wasn't really thinking because due to contrary belief, it does get cold in San Antonio, and we had jackets on. The grandmother opens up the door a little bit aggressive, kind of hesitant, and started asking us a bunch of questions like, where's our van? What are we doing here? And we explained that we had an appointment to measure her grandson, and she's like, y'all look like some gangsters rolling up in here. This is a drug neighborhood. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't realize it was a bad neighborhood. But as I look a little bit further, I can see that she had someone behind her, and her hand or her arm was behind her back, which indicates she had a gun. So yeah, we probably would have got shot if we would have. So that tells me I'm not the only one. I'm not the only one that feels that way about people in their neighborhoods. And I'm pretty sure in certain Hispanic neighborhoods, they feel that way. And I'm pretty sure in some low budget white folk neighborhoods, they feel that way too. I don't know, See, I know what you want me to say about those neighborhoods, but I'm not going to say that because that's not what I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to cause that type of controversy. I can say this, we have single-handedly degraded our women. We have violent rap. It is very violent. Now you want to base it on gangsters because I do believe that we have this thing called tribalism, but I'm not gonna get into that. That's a whole totally different topic altogether. Now be getting out of hand. But like I said, we've degraded our women, and these jokers have messed up their faces. But I kind of think that's a rap thing now because I've seen white guys, Hispanics, everybody got tattoos on their face, which kind of think is stupid. Anyway, glorifying killing our own people, drugs, and gang violence. Now, mind you, through all this music that I talked about, I didn't say hip hop. Hip hop is a culture created by inner city youth. Now, I refuse to put a color or distinction on that, but I'm pretty sure someone from New York will want to argue that point. So if we ourselves don't have enough respect for our women, our culture, or our people, then why would anyone else? Or maybe is it lack of opportunity due to incomplete or insufficient education? Check out these educational facts about black men in the United States. Less than a high school diploma, 15%, high school graduate, 35%, some college, 35%, bachelor's degree, 12%, master's degree, 7%. These are statistics based on a mean of the population of black men in the United States, which is roughly about 21 million. What we want to do is place blame on everybody else, but not ourselves. Or we want to say, okay, well, it's because of poverty or fatherless children, because the quote unquote joke is black men don't stay around and raise their kids, which I think is crap, because if you look at the statistics, they do stay around. In which I won't say I'm not going to say that it's not partially to blame, because it can be, but stupidity is not bound by any race, creed, or orientation, in which I'm saying, hey, yes, gay folks can be dumb too. I didn't want to leave the LGBTQ community out of this conversation. You see, in any situation, especially when we talk about catastrophic situations, people in charge, they have a way of breaking things down statistically, and they have what's called a consideration of acceptable losses. What is considered an acceptable loss? This kind of stuff starts at birth when we start categorizing people. Start at birth, your child is in the 1 percentile of growth and things of that nature. But then it goes even further. They start going to school. And when they get into school, they'll be like, this so many people are going to graduate. These so many people are going to go to college. These are going to be so many people who are going to they're not going to make it. They're going to GED. And there's nothing wrong with getting a GED, because that's just basically they were lazy in school or something unfortunate happened and they didn't get their diploma, but they got their good enough diploma. But then, you have those teachers that be like, yeah, he ain't going to make it to the 10th grade. She going to be pregnant by 16. Yeah, it's an unfair stereotype in which why our public schools are failing in the most part to provide our kids with the needed information or skills or whatever they need to be successful. Then they'll be like, oh, that dumbass is going to be on the back of a garbage truck. I know these are the type of conversations because you know what? We do it. We may not be in those type of jobs, but we kind of say that, yeah, you look like you should be on the back of a garbage truck. And I'm not knocking that profession. I really am not. But at the age of 8, I'm not saying, oh, I want to be on the back of a garbage truck and I want to pick up trash. No. But due to certain situations, maybe because you didn't get the education you needed, maybe you're a felon, maybe life hasn't been as fair to you and that's the job you have. But understand this, a job is a job, and I'm not knocking nobody's hustle. You get that money, my man. You get that money, lady. Now, I know I sound kind of hypocritical, and yeah, because one day I was having a conversation with my little boy, and he's 8. He said, I want to work at a school when I grow up. I'm thinking, wow, he wants to be a teacher. So I said, you want to be a teacher? He's like, no, I want to work in the cafeteria. I'm like, if you could see the look on my face, priceless. I said to my son, no, you have to go to college like mommy and daddy. But in my mind, I was saying, oh, hell no. Now, I'm not making any apologies for having higher expectations for my son, who I raised to be an educated, well-versed man. Every parent should want their children to be successful and guide them. Unfortunately, once my son gets of an age, I do have to worry about him coming home. and becoming another statistic. So I posed this question earlier about, do Black Lives Matter? The answer, at least to me, all lives matter. But you're saying, oh, Brian, you're just being PC. You're saying that just to save face. I ain't saying shit to save face. I'll just be straight up with you. My favorite uncle who's passed away, he was Asian. My brother's wife, she's Caucasian. My two nephews, as well as my niece, they're all mixed. Period. There's not just one race, they're mixed. My son, he's also mixed. Native American, Filipino, and black. And he's got a little bit of Creole. Now, it's easy for us to point a finger at the man who's holding us down. But let's just ask one question. Michael Jackson said it best. Gotta look at the man in the mirror. Face your demons. Ask yourself, am I part of the problem? Well, in Ahmaud Arbery's case, I don't think he was part of the problem. However, I guess if being black is part of the problem, but there's definitely some question about what happened. To the point where 3 lawyers, 3 prosecutors have already recused themselves. 2 jurisdictions has refused the case. Critics, including Glynn County commissioners calling for a federal probe, said that the 2 prosecutors who publicly recused themselves also privately told police to delay or refrain from arresting the McMichaels. Gregory McMichael had been an investigator for the county's district attorney's office, and before that, a county police officer. See, those connections sparked cries that the criminal justice community was looking out for their own. When Ahmaud was killed, February 23rd, what is the day? Oh yeah, it's May 12th, but this actually got brought up last week. Like I said, I was trying to avoid the issue. But look who's in. George E. Barnhill, the elected district attorney for the Waycross circuit, recused himself from the case. He was a 3rd lawyer, stating that this was a justifiable homicide. So let me understand this. 2 armed men, regardless of color, run up on you, and these 2 dudes look like they were card-carrying members of the KKK. But anyway, they run up on you. Let's flip it around. Texas is you have a concealed weapon or you have an open carry. So let's just say, for example, and I'm just saying speculatory, of course, Ahmaud had a gun on his side, and he pulled his gun because he felt that he was threatened. We're talking about going back to the Wild Wild West. This is exactly what you would say. 3 men roll free, 1 man roll in the morgue. Yet, it only took 36 hours. I should say only. It took 36 hours to obtain an arrest warrant for these Klansmen. I mean, these fine citizens. What I would do in this situation, you ask? Because I know you're saying, well, Brian, what would you do? You're reporting it, but what would you do? Honestly, I wouldn't let them touch me for one, and I'd wait for the police. Now, the man in me would want to do the right thing. My pride, it'd want me to do something else. And it probably wouldn't be as legal. I wouldn't put him under the ground, but somebody had to get a well-whooped ass. I guess I would be, once again, perpetuating this of violence or a black violent man. Just some facts, because I love to throw facts out there for all you people who want to refute everything that I'm saying. The number of incidents involving hate crimes increased for a 3rd straight year since 2017. When you say, Brian, well, this is 2017. Guess what, gentlemen, ladies, everybody listening? Statistics haven't changed. They're the same. I looked it up. That's why I'm using these quotes. So stand out. According to the FBI database released in November, this is 2018, hate crime incidents rose by 70% in 2017 compared to 2016 from 2015 to 2016. The FBI reported a 5% increase. Most of the 7,175 cases in 2017 involved race-based bias. There were at least 1,564 cases that involved bias against certain religions. People were targeted for their sexual orientation in 1,130 cases. Now, these are FBI findings which were released pretty much a month after a gunman killed 11 people celebrating the Shabbat at the synagogue in Pittsburgh, the most deadly slaying of Jews in United States history. So, once again, as I ask the question, it's not do Black Lives Matter, it's do lives matter. We have to look at it as America needs to do a serious introspection of itself, its legal system, its justice system. And that's just the bottom line. I'm not a person that can sit there and say what's right or wrong because I'm not a lawyer, I'm not a judge, but I am an advocate of fairness and I'm an advocate of my constitutional rights. But I hope you enjoy this podcast. I try to be as fair and impartial as possible. Sometimes a little hard to lean into one direction. But with that also comes a great responsibility that I have to report. And if you people want to refute it, if you want to debate it, if you want to challenge it, please feel free. I got the internet. I'm going to win. I'm going to catch the dub, my dude. But with that being said, this is Brian Matthews. And if you like this podcast and podcasts like this, please feel free to subscribe, like, and share. You can find me on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google, and hey, I'm internet searchable. All you gotta type in is Confessions of an Ugly Black Man, Brian Matthews, and we're out.